Welcome to Plumbline Ministries. Today is Tuesday Care Day. However, today is going to look a little bit different than our typical Tuesday Care Day. Today, we're going to share some ways that we care for ourselves so that way we can care for you. As a counselor here at Plumbline, one thing I get asked quite often is how do you not let the narratives and the things that you hear in session get to you? And it does. It does get to me. I'm human. Not all the time, but one thing that I love is having tools to process it when it does get to me. I come with a history, a past and trauma, just like everyone here. And so today we just want to share some tips and some things that we do to help regulate our nervous system so that way we're not triggered. And when we do get triggered, what we do. So I'm Ashley, and whoever wants to share first, feel free.
Shall I jump in? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So currently, the way I'm caring for myself is through grieving, the violence that our culture has been exposed to and the competing narratives and that kind of thing. Yeah. And what I've learned about myself is in order to grieve properly, I need a story. I need to understand, who I am and where I'm going in this situation. And so the story that I've latched onto recently is the story of Saul of Tarsus, who became the Apostle Paul, and Stephen and Ananias. And so the story, is Stephen was one of the early disciples after Jesus' resurrection, and he was speaking publicly, and the persecution had broken out, and the high priest had him bound and brought to trial before their jury, and Stephen gave this beautiful history of Judaism and God's actions amongst them. And so everybody was kind of drawing in and loving it until he got to the part where he said, Jesus is the Messiah and he's resurrected from the dead. Then it says that they hated him and they stoned him. And Saul was a Pharisee. He was there. He witnessed it and he approved it. And afterwards, he asked the high priest for permission to go into where the disciples had fled and have them taken back to Jerusalem for trials. And along the way, the road to Emmaus, God encountered him, and he this blinding light and told him that he was the Messiah. And he was struck blind. And then for 3 days afterwards, he was in prayer and isolation, and God called upon Ananias to go and care for Saul at the time. And Ananias did. He went and he cared for Saul. Of course, Saul embraced the gospel, became the Apostle Paul, who we all love and adore. But in my story, I want to be prepared to be an Ananias.
Okay.
I want to be prepared to go and care, and I'm tempted to be drawn into I want to participate in the discussions or the arguments or the debates, but in my story, Stephen represented himself, but it was the Lord that confronted Saul. And, our good news is Jesus is alive and well. Right. So he's able to make whatever confrontation he needs to make. And I want to be prepared to love and care. So I embrace that story. I want to be an Ananias that helps me know who I am and where I'm going.
Yeah. So is this something that you write out, or you're just reading, or what does that look like for you?
It's really something I have to identify with in my head. Okay. I have to come to grips with, that role and what it entails and what it doesn't entail. Mm-hmm. And so it's really just an interaction with that part of our history as believers.
Yeah. So. Okay, so when you're feeling the intense emotions, are there any tools that you fall to that kind of help you go, okay, hold on a second, let me regroup here? Because it can be very triggering, and with all the debate going on in social media, and it can be really hard not to participate. So in remembering who you are in the story and what that sounds like for you, are there any other things that you add to that?
Well, again, my life calling is to care for people, and so I have to remind myself that I'm not picking and choosing who I care for. I really want to care for whoever God puts in my path.
Yeah.
Or in our case, whoever lines up in our office in a chair across from us. And so there really is an idea of this is spiritual warfare. These are things that are playing out that are bigger than me. And I'm a spectator, but I want to be ready to do my part.
Yeah.
And so it really is just reminding myself of my calling, who God's always been to me, and who He is now. And I let Him. That's really His ministry and His comfort and His caring for me, because it's not one event; it's a whole history of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll pick up on the violence part that you spoke of. With the recent violence, it's just been so overwhelming. And my husband and I watch the news every night, and I love to be informed and know what's going on in the world, but I really need to cut back in times of extreme turbulence and just bow out. And so that really works for me, because it can be super triggering, and the repetition of showing violence and things that have happened. Another thing that I love is getting outdoors. And I just love to be in nature. I love gardening, the colors, the textures, the beauty of the natural world. And I connect there, and I find God there. And there's so many lessons about roots and uprooting and trimming and pruning back, and just a million different little ways that it relates.
Yeah.
It relates.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. Yeah.
So one of the things that I think about when, thinking about seeing all the things come up in your feed is it just it's like a tidal wave of feelings and emotions that hit. And some of the things that I've been, just recently, about 2 years ago, lost my wife. And so it pricks the grief, and it taps into that. And when you've experienced that kind of grief, you start learning some things to do, so for a self-care piece. When grief starts, you just want to keep it away from you. You want to push it away.
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts a lot, and because it's overwhelming. It's very much like these images, and then hearing how people are treating each other. It hurts. And so one of the parts that I started learning to do is embrace it. And that seems counterintuitive, but what I have found is by embracing it, I fully feel it. I let it hit me, and then I let it pass.
So,
Yeah.
can I?
Oh yeah.
What is that? Can you? What does that look like? Can you give an example of how you walked through that?
Okay, so when you have that piece, like let's say, when I realize she's not there, when I feel that experience that she's not there, sometimes it just takes your breath away, and instead of going, oh, I'm not going to feel that, I'm going to move on, I'm not going to entertain that. Stop for a second and go, yeah, I miss her. Yeah, that's painful. And then maybe even then transition that to thinking about what was good. Why do I miss her?
Yeah.
So you can even ask your question in the midst of all this is like, well, what do I miss? What about my safety has been taken away here? That feeling of everything is going to be okay. that's
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
and recognize that that's there. And so then the next transition is then to take that to God.
Yeah.
And I don't just take it to God and go, just pray a basic prayer. I may rage. I may lament. I may scream. I may go, why? And then eventually he meets me there and soothes my soul. And then as he's soothing my soul, I can see, or at least give up to him, the need to figure it all out.
Yeah.
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 So that's kind of how I go through that process.
Yeah. I like how you hit on it hits a point with you and your grief. Because I think that that's a huge piece with this is that everyone is affected differently.
It is. Yeah.
And everyone's triggered differently.
Right.
And it's not about ignoring the trigger or putting shame, like, why am I feeling this way? Because, I barely even knew the person, or, whatever your stance is. It's because there's still something going on in you. And to sit with it, process your emotions so they don't turn into hurtful actions. And so thank you for hitting on that. I appreciate that. So one of the things that I do is set a timer on my phone to breathe intentionally. And what that looks like for me, and it can look different for everyone, is breathing through a straw. I have a straw and I carry it around with me, and that focuses me on giving me that tactile cue, that cognitive awareness that I need to focus on the straw and breathing through the straw. And the straw exhalation is longer than the inhalation through my nostrils. Because I'm a mom, I have kids, I'm a wife, I'm in school, I'm running a business, and I work, and I can get caught up in the busyness and forget to do those things. And then I just feel it building and building and building, and then I snap. And so that can be an overwhelming threat bucket. My bucket's too full because I'm being bombarded everywhere with all this information that we were never exposed to this much information before. And now all of a sudden we are, and we don't know what to do with all of it.
Right.
And so that was one thing I took, 3 days of not being on social media. So I wasn't being consistently exposed to graphic content, and hopefully my algorithm will reset. Because man, it was just like one after another. I'm like, I just want my gardening videos back. I want this to be my joyful place again, and it's not. So just resetting that, but also Mad Bad Sad Glad.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that I was so triggered, I was just overwhelmed in the sad, and I couldn't see the good. And I couldn't see what I was mad about. Yeah. And so I'm mad that this graphic content is on social media. I don't understand why I need to see that. It's sad in and of itself. I don't need to see that. And there has been so much good.
Yeah.
There has been so much good. I was talking to a friend of mine whose husband is a pastor, and their church service was so much bigger.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And people saying, I'm reading my Bible for the first time
Yeah.
in a long time. And people seeing how divided we really are and going, okay, hold on a second. Do I really want to over-identify with being right or left? It's like, can we just care for each other? So, yeah.
So throw out this, a friend of mine, he recommended an app.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's called the Pause app, like you hitting pause on a
Yes.
on a recording.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by John Eldridge's team of the Wild at Heart. And the amazing thing about it is that he's done a fantastic job of setting it into 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And he really, in that process, helps you calm your breathing down and really just start focusing on your relationship with God.
Yeah.
And really setting, like he's saying, pause and realign with who do we know is in control of this. And so I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah, I love the Pause app. I shared that with a lot of counselees, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Another thing that I heard, I think it was John Townsend, one of his suggestions was to keep your schedule. Stay on your
Yeah.
regular schedule. Try to keep your own life going
Okay.
in the midst of crisis, in the midst of violence, all that we've experienced here recently.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
That
A
is
very
good.
good
I
idea.
needed to hear that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that one's good. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I practice is isometrics, and so it's not really for exercise; it's for connection with my feelings and the emotional intensity. And so, if I'm feeling and it's not too strong, then I can just acknowledge it, just with some pressure, and then the relief. If it's stronger, then you press harder, and the stronger it gets, the harder you press. But when you release, it's okay. There's an acknowledgement of the intensity of the feelings, and a lot of times that's what we need is just that self-acknowledgement. But we also want to just be grounded. We don't want it to control us.
Right.
So I found that isometrics is really helpful to me.
Yeah. No, that's good. Movement. Yeah, it's like you're moving it. It's not staying stuck in the nervous system.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah.
I think that's key. You got to pay attention to what your body feels,
Right.
Yes.
because we know that our body can feel things faster than we can think about them sometimes. And so I think it's key and important that when you start going, what's wrong? Ask yourself a question, where are you feeling it?
Yeah.
And so that you can maybe do the isometrics or
Yeah.
or breathing through a straw, which I think I'd pass out and fall on the floor.
Right. It's not for everyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
You may need a bag.
I mean, big bag.
Yep. Yeah.
Good.
I love that. Well, I think that these are some really good tips, and I think that this is a good starting point. If you aren't sure what to do with your emotions, if you're sitting there going, I don't know how to process this, we want to invite you here. We have tons of counselors that are willing and able to meet with you and teach you these tools. We have tons of workshops and classes. I can say for myself, I'm so grateful that I have these tools to fall back on when I am triggered, and the community. I'm grateful for this community of good people that can enter into that space, because not everyone is capable of doing that. And it's not it's not a judgment. It just is what it is, because we're all operating at our own level of experience and process. And so if you have questions, please call, please seek information. And until then, we'll see you next time.